This is what anime felt like back in the day. Compared to quote-unquote back then, anime nowadays can't even hold a candle to it. Now, before you crucify me, hear me out here. I'm someone that thinks anime has actually gotten slightly better over time. And no matter what season it is, there are usually a few standouts. After talking with some friends and looking online though, I realized that I might be in the minority. Nowadays, when you talk about anime with people you know, more often than not, you'll probably hear these sentences. I can't even get through an entire episode anymore. Or just read the manga. I'll be honest, I'm a culprit of the latter, but sometimes the manga is just too damn good. I took it upon myself to find a definitive explanation as to why a lot of people have this sentiment of anime not being as good now. And it was originally confusing to me because there have been so many peak adaptations over the past 10 years or so. Animation is better than ever. Unique and interesting storylines are still being adapted. And the medium as a whole has grown so popular that it can almost be called mainstream in a lot of areas in the world. So why has this narrative of people falling out of love with anime been echoed throughout the community? This isn't going to be a 90s anime better because of cell animation and nostalgia type of video. I'm going to be talking about an overarching point that I feel like other videos haven't delved into as deeply. So let's begin. Overexposure and abundance. Anime is literally everywhere now, and the number of shows being produced increasing exponentially every year isn't helping with it. There are way too many shows to keep up with every season, and with more and more series being pumped out, the more that you'll be able to notice the heaps of series that no one talks about after a month. If you were first introduced to anime in the 90s or early 2000s, it was probably through Toonami or Adult Swim if you're in the US. Naturally, they'd only show the best and most popular anime at the current time period, like Dragon Ball Z, Trigun, Sailor Moon, Gundam Wing, Yu Yu Hakusho, One Piece, and all that stuff that everyone knows now. This was an insane time period for fans to get their first glimpse of anime, and let's be honest, it's pretty hard not to have a good time with them. Now, if you were truly OG and you were a fan around the 80s and early 90s, you were basically out of luck and would have to find VHS tapes from random comic book stores or from a friend of a friend. And then the internet era arrived. The mid-2000s saw a rise of illegal anime streaming sites, and you didn't need to import VHS tapes from Japan just to see different shows anymore. At this point in time, you could literally find full episodes of shows on YouTube with fan subtitles in different languages, opening the door for way more fans that otherwise wouldn't have been able to get into a particular series. Things were finally digital, and I remember myself and my friends really getting into Naruto, Bleach, and One Piece through the internet, as opposed to seeing the same few episodes on repeat on TV for years on end. Sites like MyAnimeList were gaining traction and a strong community was being built there through its forums. And it was one of the anime databases that really showed fans just how vast the industry was. I mean, there were so many series that fans have never even heard of, both good and bad, and for a lot of people it almost felt like they stumbled across a gold mine. Eventually, like all mediums, people understood that there were really great anime and really bad anime. And there's always been bad anime coming out. It's just that the majority of fans got into the fandom during a time when there really wasn't a way to verify this. And animes could only really be compared to other anime that were airing on the same TV channels, or being sold at the same stores in the form of VHS. By the way, this mainly applies to the West. Chances are you're not going to be able to name something you hated from 1997 because you either haven't watched said thing or you forgot about it already. It's kind of like survivorship bias where widely loved and respected shows live on while everything else fades into the background. And some die, and that's fine. That's why you have series like Neon Genesis Evangelion that will be talked about and dissected for probably decades to come. That's why you have Hajime no Ippo to rewatch whenever you want to get back in the gym, and that's why you have Monster if you want root for the villain. Or maybe that's just me. My overarching point is that while I do personally agree that anime was on a generational run with bangers from around the 90s to mid-2000s, that shaped, for the most of us, our childhood teen years. The fact is that we're looking at that time through a rose-tinted lens. It's not really nostalgia, it's diving into a new medium for the first time and being exposed to top-quality shows that have been carefully picked to do well because they already have that critical acclaim in Japan. It's not being able to have anything to compare these shows to, so criticism and skepticism would be naturally lower as a result. It's almost like we had the subconscious thought that every single anime made would be as sick as the ones that we fell in love with, only to realize that's not the case. Now that the community has grown so big, it's almost impossible to go to a review site or into YouTube comments and not see a 10-paragraph analysis on how someone thought a series was bland and/or disappointing or overrated. People are quicker to point out tropes or plot developments that they don't like because you can have access to basically every single anime created ever in the click of a button, and it's a media consumerism world in general now. Everyone's looking for the best movies, the best TV shows, the best anime, the best books, the best everything, and they want something to scratch that itch in their brain. But that itch gets bigger as they keep searching for that idea. Everyone is an armchair critic now, and they'll treat Letterboxd and analysts like it's a full-time job. It's a never-ending loop of searching for that perfect thing that will make them feel like it's the old days again, only to realize that it was mostly in their mind in the first place. From the time that I fully got into anime, I strongly believe that there's more or less been the same amount of good anime and bad anime per year, and it would be a disservice to the stuff being produced as of recent to discredit them as a whole because of the romanticization of older anime. Lastly, I do truly think that if you can't get through 23 minutes of a show, you have serious attention span issues, or you simply don't vibe with it, and that's fine too. As we grow, we start to have different tastes and different themes we look for in a series, and this is something that will continue to evolve within us as we go through life. Anyways, that's all I have to say. This is my first video on this channel, so I'd appreciate it if you show some support and leave some feedback if you'd like to. Have a nice day and see you soon.